From James Harden and Jimmy Butler missing out to even the likes of Devin Booker and Kawhi Leonard not getting a peek, the All-Star selection tends to leave some factions unhappy every year. And it's the same this year. I'm definitely siding with the Darius Garland fans on this one.
To its feet here inside Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. Garland floats, got it!
The Cavaliers might not be the best team in the East. Given their youthfulness, they're still punching well above their weight, to an extent where people expect them to be the third seed at the minimum in the East. And Donovan Mitchell might be the superstar on their roster, but Darius Garland isn't far behind him. And he's got the record to show for it too. One of only 7 players with at least 1,000 minutes played, and with averages of over 20 points and 8 assists, 4 of those made the cut. Garland missed out alongside Trae Young and James Harden. More importantly though, he might not be competing for a spot against Ja Morant, but his true shooting percentage, 3-point percentage, and net rating swing are all superior to the Grizzlies star. This tells you just how good Garland's been this season, and he's not the only second most impactful player on a team to be snubbed. What about Aaron Gordon of the Denver Nuggets? Despite having the likes of Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. on their roster, the Nuggets' second most impactful player has been none other than Aaron Gordon. Behind, of course, Nikola Jokic. Surprise, surprise, he's been absolutely sensational, and the reason behind the Nuggets occupying the top spot in the West. His two-way impact has been crucial for the Nuggets' success, and at the very least, it should have led to an all-star selection. Don't believe me? Look at this stat, for instance. Denver is 20-plus points per 100 possessions every time Gordon's on the floor. That's truly absurd and shows his class. But breaking your all-star duck can be a tough thing to do. However, what do you say to former all-stars who didn't get the call? Yeah, I'm talking about Kawhi Leonard.
Toscano Anderson is defending Kawhi Leonard. Across the lane with the fadeaway.
Never been a man who is concerned with stats and all that. And yes, Kawhi might be returning from a massive injury, but have you seen him play this season? Don't go purely on the numbers, which are still impressive nonetheless, averaging 22 points on 50% field goal shooting and over 6 rebounds along with 1.5 steals per game. Leonard's impact goes beyond statistics every single time, and he can win you a game from anywhere, like he did in the All-Star game back in 2020. You just can't leave players like him out of the All-Star game, or players like Trae Young, for instance. Okay, I get it. The Hawks aren't exactly flying high in the East, but come on. Trae Young's been absolutely exceptional, and for someone who is a starter in 2022, how does he not even make the bench? Young might imply that he's snubbed the All-Star call-up, but I genuinely find that hard to believe. At the same time though, I completely understand his frustration. In a poor Hawks side, Trae's averaging nearly 27 points per night, along with over 10 assists per game. If that's not exceptional, then I don't know what it is. The Hawks fans are rightfully angered with this one, just like the 76ers fans can't believe that James Harden got snubbed. He's not exactly in his prime anymore, but can you possibly sit someone like Harden out? He's made for the big stage, man. Come on. James Harden has been an ever-present part of the All-Star team, and he deserves to be in there. Not to mention, it's not only his reputation that should have him in there, he's also been quietly brilliant for the 76ers this season, averaging 21.5 points per night. Harden has been dishing out close to 11 assists every time he steps on the court too. He's found a lot of success in this newfounded role of his, and has been shooting at nearly 39% from the three-point range as well. Few players have adapted better than Harden to that secondary role, and if it was any other youngster coming up with those numbers, I'm convinced he'd receive a call-up. But an all-star game without the beard just isn't an all-star game. Although, Harden isn't close to being the only snub in the East. The Heat fans are angry that Jimmy Butler's not received a call-up, and I would like to see a justification for this one. Sure, I get the lack of availability concern concerns, but he had as many games as Paul George, just 1 less than Embiid and 2 less than Kyrie, all of whom made the All-Star team. Not to mention Butler's 15th in estimated wins, and all of the 14 players ahead of him will be in Salt Lake City. So I ask once again, how do you explain this? Averaging 22 points and coming up with a lead leading to 2 steals, the Heat have also improved their ranking ever since Butler became a regular. I believe that despite Bam Adebayo becoming the new poster name in Miami, Butler remains their most important player on offense and possibly even defense.
Booker with 9. Booker. Blocked by Butler!
He clearly tops Adebayo in the advanced numbers, along with true shooting percentage, points, assists, steals, you name it. And I love Bam. I believe both should have been going to Utah for the All-Star game, and the Heat fans are absolutely correct in feeling hard done. While we're feeling sorry for Butler, I also want to sneak in a big name from the West. Wouldn't be a complete list without Anthony Davis in it.
Loose picked up by James. James goes to the basket. Back to Davis for the slam.
Again, a player with some concerns over his availability, Anthony Davis has been a monster every time he's played this season. Still a little slow coming back from his injury, but the AD we saw before pre-injury was probably his best version in the NBA, and I'm absolutely certain he'll get there and lead the Lakers to the playoffs one way or another. This is why I just can't wrap my head around Davis not making the All-Star team. I did read some tweets of some Lakers fans being happy that AD wasn't selected, and even AD pointed out how his wife would be happy with that one, as they can finally take a vacation. But yeah, it shouldn't have been decided like this. I mean, I get the fact that there are some worthy names going to the All-Star game, and while they don't exactly come up better than AD in terms of impact, yes, I'm talking about you, JJJ, I do feel that the All-Star format can be changed to accommodate more names and get rid of this snubbing. However, AD isn't the only one who I feel was unjustly left out, because I present to you Jalen Brunson's.
Back on top, lead the Knicks 64-62. Here's Brunson.
Epic All-Star snub. This guy, for some reason, hasn't even made the replacement list after injuries to some key All-Star players. While I'm glad that Anthony Edwards, De'Aaron Fox, and Pascal Siakam are on their way, I can't help but feel bad about Brunson. What more does a player need to do to earn that call? Brunson's been absolutely magnificent in the last year or so. He more than deserves a call-up, and I really hope he has his name taken before the All-Star weekend. One of the nicest guys in the NBA, and with buckets of talent, it would be completely unjustified to leave him out. Just look at his last 3 performances, man. 30 against Philly, 38 against the Jazz, and 40 against the Nets. Fingers crossed he gets a late call-up. That's all the players I felt were wrongly snubbed from All-Star selections. Feel free to add some more in the comments. See you next time.